So I'm going to show you 9 ways that I express the purpose of my song Prophet through the arrangement, and didn't do nearly enough with the vocal performance on Reflection. So I'm going to be transparent here and give you the things that I think I did well and the things that I the things that I would do differently in the future. So first of all, the purpose of Prophet is the only thing that we can be certain of is uncertainty, and comes from the position of someone who is talking to somebody who puts certainty above anything else. They'll almost believe anything because they just want to feel certain. So it's like me saying to them, can you see the future? Are you a prophet? So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to subject you to my singing. It'll be worth it. So those piano chords, what they represent in terms of the purpose is certainty. The reason they represent certainty is they almost sound like a hymn. Sustained, sure, there's no room for uncertainty. It's just here they are, right? So they express certainty. What they mean, the purpose of those piano chords is certainty. So now let's listen to the vocal melody.
Can you see the future? Are you a prophet? It don't seem very likely that you're a prophet, but who knows, you might be a seer or clairvoyant with a very special view of what will happen and won't.
So if you listen to that verse melody, verse 1 is meant to be expressing skepticism. Okay, so we've got the piano chords, which are representing the person who's feeling certain. And the verse melody is me speaking to that person and being skeptical. So how in that melody am I being skeptical? Well, let's just listen to the melody. Can you see? All right, so that goes down to the tonic. The na, na, na. So certainty. The future, which is the second. So it's not the tonic, it's the second. And you'll notice through most of that melody, I end on the second, not the tonic, right? So, can you see the future? Are you a prophet? So even though I am going to the tonic, I'm then going back up. So in other words, literally in the melody, I am expressing skepticism because I'm ending not on the root, but on the second. It's almost like I'm faking out a resolution to the tonic and then going, right? So it always ends on the second. And then at the end of the verse,
with a very special view of what will happen and won't.
So that last chord is a dominant 7th chord, right? And if you listen to that chord on its own, it's the most tension creating chord because it's almost like it has to resolve to the root note, the tonic.
With a very special view of what will happen.
And you want it to go to the tonic. It got that. In other words, when you hear a dominant 7th, whether you know it or not, you know what's going to happen. And it comes at the same time as I say, what will happen, but then I finish the verse with, and won't. So in other words, the lyrics are actually questioning that dominant 7th. Yeah, or they're questioning the resolution. Now, in terms of the performance, whenever I hear it, I'm always frustrated by it because I wish I'd have left a bigger gap between what will happen and won't, because I think it would have been more effective.
With a very special view of what will happen and won't.
it just kind of, there's a wasted opportunity there in terms of the performance. The thing was about finishing this album, the way that I finished it was I said to myself, I'm just going to do 2 takes of every vocal, only 2 takes, and I'm not allowed to do any tuning on the vocal at all. I'm not going to use Melodyne, I'm not going to use auto-tune, it's just going to be my vocal, and I was only allowed to do 2 takes. As a result of that, I was so zeroed in on trying to get the tuning right that a lot of the performance stuff went out of the window. But anyway, if we now listen to the chorus, we're now into Hopeful.
It's okay to say you don't know.
So you can hear that, for one thing, that piano is extremely contrasting to the piano in the verse. In terms of the piano, we've got something dark and certain, and now we've got something bright and hopeful. It's higher, it's brighter, and it's kind of moving. Movement is like, it's hope, it's going somewhere, whereas certainty is stuck somewhere, right? Then when you listen to this lyric here,
It's okay to leave an open door.
it's okay to leave an open door. So is the root, and then minor second. Leave an open door, uncertainty. Leave an open door. Same thing happens at the end of the chorus as well, where we go.
More sense when you're less sure.
When you're less sure. That is literally sounds like it's not sure, right? Minor second. So let's go to verse 2, where we're into exasperation. Now, the vocal here, once again, I wish I'd have performed it in a more exasperated fashion. I didn't, because I was so zeroed in on trying for it not to sound terribly out of tune. So if I was to do this again, I would probably put more of a performance in. One thing I can say in terms of the melody and what I've done here is this bit.
That the rest of us can't see. Certainly you're soothing.
So that blues note, certainly, it's, to me, extremely sarcastic. Because it's like I got a minor third, certainly. Yeah, so you're saying certainly, yeah, right. Yeah, so it's got a kind of exasperated vibe to it. With that bluesy third, on the word certainly, it's almost like, yeah, right, you're not being certain. Again, with this second verse, I could have done way more with the performance, but hey, I didn't. And then the chorus 2 is, now we're into it being more determined. So I want you to listen to the piano here.
It's okay to say you don't know. It's okay to leave an open door. It's okay to say you don't know. You make more sense when you're less sure.
With the way that I'm playing that piano part, it's like it's pulling back all the time, and it's like, but it's also the chords, it's the same chords, but the right hand is constantly going up and the left hand is constantly going down. So it's almost like it's pulling apart like this. Yeah, that's how I'm expressing the determination of pushing through there. And then with the bridge, which is meant to be courageous,
When you're less sure. And while it might be comforting, your weird science isn't either or. Guess don't prophesy and throw away the legends, myths, and lore.
so that either is or is close to, I can't exactly remember, a circle of fifths. So it goes a fifth to the tonic, which then becomes the fifth of the other one. Right, so look it up if you don't know what a circle of fifths is. It can be a little bit of a cliche, but what I'm attempting to do there with using that chord progression, I mean, I remember when I actually wrote the chord progression, I was like, oh, it just seems a bit like obvious, but I just went with it. I just had this sense that it felt right, and I didn't know why it felt right. And then I realized in the context of the song, it's like we've got this kind of determined bit, and then I'm like, do you know what? No, this is what I think. Here's how it is. While it might be comforting, I'm just going to tell you the way it is, right? So I'm being courageous and actually saying what I feel, expressed in that circle of fifths. And you might have the question with a lot of this stuff, how much of it did you think of beforehand, and how much of it just happened and then you realized that that's what you were doing? So how much of it is conscious and how much of it is intuitive? My answer to that question is yes. Right? It's like some of it is conscious and some of it is unconscious and some of it emerges, and then some of it you go, oh, actually, that's what that means. This is what I mean about how purpose and the creative process are in this constant dialogue where you are having an idea and you're going in that direction, and then this thing happens. You're like, oh, that, I don't know why I like that, but then as you write it, you go, oh, I know why that's right. That makes sense because it fits the purpose. So it's like some of the things I actually thought of, consciously thought of, some of the things I did and I didn't know why I left it there. And then I went, actually, that works because of this. Some of the things that I have noticed in preparing for this, what I'm telling you now, I've realized after the fact. So the answer to that question is yes. Okay, so finally we get the payoff. The payoff is where we're now into powerful. So the emotion is powerful. Now, bear in mind that all of these choruses, the melody is the same, the words are the same, but they feel very different. And how I created the payoff, and this I remember was conscious, because I was very pleased with myself. Well done, Mike Monday, when I thought of it. So this was conscious, where what I did was this.
It's okay to say you don't know. It's okay to leave an open door. It's okay to say you don't know. You make more sense when you're less sure.
What happens there, you'll notice, is for the first time, the same chorus melody comes over the verse chords. And what you realize is, all along, is that the chorus melody is the same pattern as the verse chords, right? Now remember, the verse chords are expressing certainty, but the chorus lyrics are saying it's okay to be unsure. So in other words, I have taken the certainty and I am saying you can be certain of uncertainty. So in other words, the payoff, both musically, functionally, right, because you finally get everything is doing the same thing. You've had these two different things happening and then everything is doing the same thing. But also in terms of purpose, literally the music, well, literally, not metaphorically, the music expresses the only thing you can be certain of is uncertainty. And just as a little final detail, I end on that dominant seventh chord saying, it's okay, I can't remember the exact words, something about being less sure, right? And it never resolves to the tonic.
More sense when you're less sure.
It makes more sense when you're less sure, and we end on the dominant seventh without a resolution, the most, in other words, we end on uncertainty. So the arrangement in this track is on purpose, right? The performance, I would say, isn't. on purpose because of just the way I decided to do it. If I was to do this song again, if I was to re-record this song again, I would focus much more on making the performance on purpose. But what purpose allows us to do, working to purpose, I am able to say with objective confidence that the performance isn't on purpose, but the arrangement and the chords and the lyrics are. How? Because I'm working to purpose. This isn't about my feelings about my singing or about anything internal. It's an external decision. Does the performance fit the purpose? No, it doesn't. The arrangement and the chords and the way that they work, does that fit the purpose? Yes, they do. So I know where I need to improve. So in other words, working to a purpose allows you to be objective about what is good and bad. It takes you out of your feelings. It takes you out of that subjective, oh no, I don't like it. Yeah, I can actually say, this is what I need to improve.